I'm Julia. Welcome to my potager. Good morning, friends. Today is August 3rd. I'm here in Vermont and I wanted to show you an update of what it's looking like. We really did a push in July, especially on the paths, so I'll show you those. I'm quite proud of it. There are things that are that need to be addressed, but I am currently really busy with my main job, which is homeschooling my children. So some of those things I'm just gonna have to try to get to bit by bit later. But I'm really happy that we do have a lot of growth, and there's certain crops that are doing really, really well. First of all, look at this view. This is my favorite view into the potager here. We're standing on the south side, and yeah, we just recently put in these new paths. So these stones, some of them are pretty big. My husband and I, we don't have any equipment, so we worked for a day and we got all these stones in place, and then we got the gravel in place. And yeah, I'm really proud of us. It actually took a couple days to get all the gravel in. There's a few spaces where the paths are still grass, and there's a few spaces where it's just landscape fabric in the paths. But I do have some plans on switching things up over the next few years, really expanding and changing some things. And so this is where we started with, and I'm really pleased with at least how this area looks. My chard looks absolutely glorious. I need to, actually I'm gonna harvest some today. I'm gonna put some in lasagna. I love to make lasagna with chard and cauliflower, so I'm gonna do that. And I'll probably just get rid of some of the bottom leaves that are a little more raggedy. The shelling peas you can see are pretty much done, so I'm going to be taking those out. I'll probably just cut them off at the base, and I may actually re-sow another round of them. I'll probably do fewer plants than I did before. I think I probably could have done less to start with. The alyssum looks great though in the pads there. I love how that looks. It's kind of what I was envisioning. I do have a volunteer tomato here, so I'm just gonna let that be. I had tomatoes here not last year, but the year before and the year before that. So yeah, it's some sort of cherry tomato. I'm very happy to see it there. I love volunteers. You can see my potatoes back here have flowered. A few of them are still flowering. The ones in front here look like they have something going on. There's several things in my garden, in my orchard as well, that have some sort of stuff going on because it's been so wet this year. Like there's just so much water. So I kind of expect that to happen, and they'll die back, and then we should still be able to harvest them. So I'm not super worried about them. I tend not to save my own seed potatoes. I've been purchasing them each year, so I'm not as worried about this because they should still be edible. Over here we've got the snapdragons. Now they were petering out a bit. They don't like the really hot weather. We actually had end of July, second half of July, maybe all of July was super hot, but now it's actually cooled off a bit the last few days. I'm out here now and it almost feels like fall to me, but I think the highs are in the 70s, which is perfect. So they're much happier and coming back. I did cut them back hard as well. Because they were flopping, we had a lot of wind, and I had a party that I made bouquets for. So I do have pots with dahlias at the end here, and these are dahlias that I started from seed. Some of them I started from seed this year and some last year, but I don't know what's what at this point. So this one is a single and gorgeous red color, and it's really bushed out beautifully. Let me show you the other side over here. Look at this one. I love this one. so gorgeous. All right, let me show you around this way here a little bit, because I do have my Dara on me that we planted together early this spring. And see how it has this like purplish tint to it. Some of them are deeper purple. I don't see any right now, but it's glorious. The pollinators really like it too. I've got my milkweed patch that I left here. Some of them fell over, but now you can see the pods are starting to form. That's a milkweed pod, and the seeds they'll open and the seeds will blow. Along here we've got our phlox. My annual phlox always stays really small, or it has for the last 2 or 3 years I've grown it. I don't know if you guys if that's just how they are, if you have any tips on that. Maybe I'm just getting them in too late, I don't know. But yeah, My zinnias are just like starting to take off. We've got some blooms last week. I was able to cut a bunch for bouquets for the party we had. Beyond the zinnias, we do have some ceranth in here. They might be getting too much shade, I'm not sure. I mean, the plants grew, but I'm not seeing any blooms or bloom stalks as of yet. And then we've got some cosmos, which have a lot of other like kind of wispy weed things in there that I don't even know what they are. And it kind of all looks pretty together, so that's nice. My stock is getting pretty weedy back here. There's still a few blooms, but I don't know, this location might just, I mean, it's going to be something else next year. I don't think this really works well for me. Yeah, okay. Asparagus bed is still super weedy. And then over here, I'll just finish this side up. We've got pumpkins. Some of the plants look a little rough. I think we've had quite a bit of bug damage here, like this plant. I mean, it's still alive. I'm letting it be. At some point, I might come and take off some dead leaves or whatnot. But I mean, we've definitely got growth. We've got some pumpkins growing, so that's the best sign. This one here is a long pie pumpkin. That's why my kids wanted to pick it, because they thought it was a zucchini, but it's not. And then there's some more up here. I'll show you. And I honestly don't know what all the varieties are. I think this one here is a cider jack variety. This one might be as well, or this actually might be a winter luxury pie pumpkin, which would be excited because they're my favorite. And then there's a cute little white one over here. I don't know if it's one of the varieties that stays white or not, but like that. And I see one more. I can't remember if I saw, oh, there's another one. I think the same variety right here. This area in the back here has been neglected. There's a lot of weeds, and I do want to try to take care of it before winter comes, is kind of my goal at this point. But there are some plants in beds that I will try to weed soon that are hiding in there, and there's some actually crops growing, so I'm going to show you what I got back here. All right, this bed here had the ranunculus and anemones in it, and actually the corms are still in there, so I do want to clean that out and probably try to save the corms. But beyond that, I have a whole lot of ground cherries, and I'm pretty excited about them. They are growing beautifully. You can see in here, it's just like a mass. There's a few weeds, but there's a mass of ground cherries, and there's a lot of them growing that are still green. Hopefully it gets warmer again soon, because they like the warmth, and these will all ripen, and maybe I'll have enough for jam this year. We'll see. I did stick a little bit of the Greek dwarf basil at the end here. I just love it. It's so cute, and I love it when it flowers too. So at the other end of this bed, there are some other things, so let's see if we can work our way over there. I am letting this cosmos that volunteered kind of in the path grow, because it's so pretty. Okay. Okay, so over on this end, there are some marigolds in here, but I think the ground cherries might be overtaking them. We'll see. I might come in and weed and see if I can clear some of that out of the way. Okay, so we've got some pepper plants here. I honestly don't remember what kind, but this is my best pepper year so far. So we've got some peppers growing there. We've got this really pretty red nasturtium. Look at that, so pretty. This must be a sparkle pepper back here. I have several of those because they turn purple. Yeah, so some stuff growing. When I turn you around, this is all weeds, and it's just kind of expanding into the path, so it needs to be taken care of. Okay, so back here I still have the structure, but the snap peas are definitely done. These here are zucchini plants, but they seem, I haven't seen any zucchini yet. I do have a bunch of flowers, so I'm still hopeful, but if we look at the base of the plants, they just, well, here, it looks like we might get there's some bug damage happening there, so, and I think it's on pretty much all of them. Hopefully we'll get some fruit off of it, we'll see. But there's a bunch of those. I need to clear out some weeds and clear out the peas. This bed over here actually has a lot of beautiful stuff. You just can't tell because there's a lot of grass from here. All right, so we've got eggplants growing in here. Got some eggplant. It's a mix of eggplants, peppers, and then different herbs and flowers. So we've got nasturtium, some orange ones here. Look at that. That's pretty. I think this is the variegated. Yeah, look at these leaves. Beautiful. There's some basil hidden in there. I don't know if you can see it. This is chamomile. I should actually come out and harvest the what's left of the flowers, and then hopefully it'll flush again. Oh, chamomile is one of those things that just smells so good. There's a marigold in here. I think it's an orange one. I think I was just seeing some orange flowers. Another eggplant. Have you guys seen eggplant flowers? They are absolutely gorgeous. Oh, guys, look at that. Gorgeous. Yeah. Let's see. This is a sunflower. This actually volunteered here and I just left it. There's quite a few of those around the garden. I'm really grateful for it. All right. Hopefully I'm not making you dizzy. I'm trying to see what else is in here. There's another eggplant hiding in there. Some more basil. There's a kale at the end. The other side has peppers. I think I saw a ripe pepper on it this earlier, so let's go find that one. Okay, we found it. We're on the other side. This is a sparkle pepper, and this one looks like it's just about ready to pick, but I think I'm going to need my clippers, so I'll have to bring those out. I'm going to compile a list of all the things I need to do out here and see if I can get them done little by little. Weeding this bed is towards the top of my list because I think once I do weed it, it's just going to be so pretty. I loved putting all the different herbs and peppers and stuff together, so yeah. There's that. I'm going to scan you over to this side, the last two raised beds in the back here. Okay, so we've got our brassicas here. Actually, I need to harvest several of these cabbages, and I'm going to be starting some cabbage inside as well for the fall soon, so I might bring you along when I do that. Beyond them, the broccoli has gone to flower. I've just been leaving it, and I'll probably cut that back soon. There's some volunteer sunflowers coming up in there, so I'll just leave those. And then back here, we've got our Brussels sprouts, which I obviously, and I knew when I was doing it, put too close together, but you know, they are forming baby Brussels sprouts in here. So there we go. Beyond that, so we have pro-cut sunflowers that I planted there that are going to bloom soon. There's a volunteer sunflower there, and then the second succession I planted is like, I think it's getting shaded out. That didn't work so well, so I'm gonna have to think through how to do that differently next year. And back beyond there, I've got some mini pumpkin plants growing, and I didn't have great germination on those seeds, honestly. So we'll see. I don't remember if those are the white or the orange ones, and we'll just get what we get. The lettuce has bolted, so I'll also clean that up soon. Okay, scanning this way, the elder, you can see the berries are forming. Actually, some of them are starting to ripen. Look at that, beautiful. Plant obviously gets so many fruits that there's plenty for me to harvest and for the birds. So there is some comfrey flowers sticking up in there. I don't know if you can see those little drooping flowers. There is a comfrey plant under there, so that's what that is. And this was a sunflower. This one looks like a volunteer one. Beautiful yellow color. I did transplant some sunflowers into this bed here, so those ones are looking great. I think the other ones got shaded. And then I need to clean up the peas here. The wind, I think I oversowed them. There's too many, and then the wind came and it broke some of the branches here. So I need to clean that up. But I sowed some cucumbers. Some of them are still itty bitty babies, but the ones over on this side here are producing some fruit. Let me show you. See, look at that. Now these are all silver slicers, so I could harvest this whenever. It can get a bit bigger though, and they don't really get bitter or anything. So I think I'm gonna leave that for right now, and I'm gonna have to come back out and do some harvesting. But yay, cucumbers. All right, we're gonna zigzag our way around. I think the thing I wanna show you next is my corn. I will mention I did bring a table out here. The top is falling apart, but the base looks okay, so I'm hoping I can maybe make a new top for it at some point, but that's on the longer term plan. All right, let's go look at my corn. Look at that, it's tasseling. You can see some ears in there. I'm so excited about it. This is sweet corn. So I think the first year I had my potager, it might have been 2019, I tried sweet corn, and I think it just had nutrient deficiency and it didn't do well. And that might have been a dry year. I'm not 100% remembering. The past couple years I've grown popcorn, and this year I tried sweet corn again because we have a lot of popcorn from last year still. So let me show you closer up. I'm very excited about it. My daughter loves sweet corn, so I'll have to figure out, make sure I'm harvesting at the right stage. Like, are these ready when they're red, or, well, I'm gonna go look it up later. Look at this, look at the hairs. I did You are supposed to plant them kind of in a bunch here because they pollinate by the wind. See, we get a good amount of wind, so that works well. And the tassels up there, the pollen from them will fall on those silky ears down there and hopefully pollinate all of the kernels, which will then plump up and we can eat them and they're delicious. I'm gonna come back through this way. You can see here, this is one of my herb beds. They've one of the things that have been neglected. So, but this is anise hyssop, and it is beautiful. Look at this. Beautiful. Pollinators love it. It is an herb that you can save the flowers and the leaves of to make a tea. And it's Agastache, and this is, I think, Agastache officinalis. There's lots of different cultivars now of Agastache that people have made for, you know, ornamental purposes. There's some absolutely beautiful ones, and pollinators do love them. This is the, you know, original native one, which is really usually the best thing to use if you're going to use something medicinally. And below it is Hyssop officinalis, and it's looking a little rough this year. Again, it's been very wet. This is one that probably needs like a really hard cut back, to be honest. Usually this time of year, all of these blooms all of these spikes are covered with these blue blooms. And they do fade a little bit, like you can see the ones there, but a lot of these have browned out and I think it's just so wet. Over here, my feverfew was looking glorious for a while, now it's just sad. So I started some other feverfew in places and I'm hoping it will reseed. We'll see what happens. My comfrey is still huge and gigantic and apparently happy. This echinacea looks beautiful this year. This is the Echinacea purpurea, or purple cone flower. And I think you can use the flowers medicinally. I've always been taught to use the roots. And you want to dig them up, I think, after 3 years or so. I'm not really planning on digging this up. I can, yeah, at this point, but I just wanted to have different medicinal plants in here. So I need to do this might be a focus next year. We'll see. I've got a lot of places I'm focusing on. These are not exactly how I wanted them to look, but loving the beautiful plants. More volunteer sunflowers. Let's come around and get a good look at its face. Hello. They're just so happy, and I very much appreciate them volunteering. I'm believing it's with the help of birds. I know we've got some goldfinches out here that love them, probably other birds that love them as well. I've got some yarrow in a pot here. I'm going to need to move this pot to make sure they don't grow out the bottom, because this is just the regular white yarrow, and it's really great medicinally, especially so you can use the leaves as like a styptic if you dry them down and make a powder to stop bleeding. And then I think you can use the flowers for things too. I think it might be part of a fever-reducing tea. Anyway, I'm not a doctor. I'm not even a certified herbalist. I just grew up with it and studied a little bit. But it grows through rhizomes very aggressively. I have a patch in the orchard that's pretty bad. So I didn't want to plant some here, but I wanted some here. So I actually dug this out for my lawn and then put it in the pot. And so anyway, I'll have to keep an eye on that. I'm going to scan around this way. This is my herb circle. The lemon balm looks great. I cut that back earlier this year. Everything else is kind of sad. The lavender in here, again, it's been so wet. Lavender does not like it wet. So it did bloom a bit, but it's sad right now. The lady's mantle also, like everything in here, could just use some love, honestly. It looks like it's got some fresh leaves coming up, so that's good. But these ones the blooms are probably done too. There's been weeds covering up my sage. Looks very sad here. And there is thyme in here somewhere. I think, yeah, that's thyme there. So it's just mixed in with some of the other weeds. So this bed needs some work. I'm kind of making a to-do list as I go in my head here. The other bed back here is supposed to be culinary herbs, and there still are some perennials in here, but I let them all flower. Again, probably a good time of year to cut them back. This oregano here. That might be like nettles or catnip coming up in the middle there, actually. That's not oregano. That one spike there. I'm not going to touch it in case it's nettles. But, and then there's thyme over there. I've shown you that before. So yeah, it's kind of a mess. We'll get back to it someday. All right, I'm gonna bring you back. I'm just trying to decide which way to go here. So let me first show you this bed here. I actually planted this up, I think last week. Sadly, it needed to be cleared out. So we'll see what happens with it. I weeded around some stuff. So I've got my black pansies in here. These are sweet violets. These bloomed early in the spring. I left some red clover there. There's some borage that is growing there that I left. But not quite flowering yet. So I put in here a whole bunch of flowers. So we've got like zinnias, and I did put some hollyhocks in here. I was told they're actually edible, so that's cool. I wasn't expecting them to bloom this year anyway, but hopefully they'll root in well. I might actually start and stick some more in this fall with the hope that they'll bloom next year. And then a whole lot of snapdragons. Over here is a snapdragon mix, and on the other side I've got basil. And I don't remember what kind of basil, but I got basil over there. I do have, this is a bergamot, and I want to say it's like a lemon bergamot is what it's called, I think. But it's the purple variety. This always gets powdery mildew really bad, and so it, again, has. But the flowers look beautiful. This is another plant that pollinators absolutely love. Absolutely love. So, there you go then. And it is edible. I have the red variety on in my orchard and on the side of my house. All right. I think what we're gonna do is I think we're gonna go back that way. Let's check out the beans over here. Look at these; they're so pretty. All right, I have had to like try to coax them to go up this way. Come on, work with me here. Okay, we're trying to coax them. So these are mostly just black runner beans, which I will harvest when the pods have dried, and so we can eat the beans. Now, I don't know if we'll have enough to eat a whole lot this year. I keep trying to grow more so we have enough to eat and save seeds, so we'll see. And I did put some cucumber plants in here too, the same variety as on the other side, since I figured they could also climb here. Let's do that. I would honestly grow these just for the flowers. I think they're beautiful. And I did put some flowers at the end. So this is a cosmos. I don't know what kind. It looks like it might be pink. Hopefully that'll bloom soon. It's pretty. And then there's a Mazurkia zinnia over here. Isn't this gorgeous? Look at this. Okay, so you can see we're back by the potatoes here. I'm going to go back to that corner because we didn't get over there before. These are my annual Rudbeckia. And look at, they're just so pretty. Okay. I am so thrilled with them. I thought they were all the same kind. They might be two different kinds, but they all look a little bit different, I think. Look at this one. It's a little smaller, but these are just, it's got like this pinkish. Oh, it's so pretty. And then, yeah, there's darker ones here. Look at that, so moody. And then these ones here, and they all go beautiful together too. Look at that. I think I'm gonna come harvest some later to just have in the house. Look at that. All right, gorgeous. Back here, I did stick some feverfew plants, so it looks like we might get some blooms from those this year, so that's exciting. And then is my Lisianthus, and they are just starting to bloom. You can see a few blooms in there. It is a little weedy. I've weeded a little bit, but I also don't want to disturb their roots too much, so we'll see. We'll see how we do. I should probably come in and just take care of some of it. Look at this one. I think this is, I don't know where all my labels for things are, but that's like a really pretty like antique-y purple. Then over here, I have one of these in a bouquet in my bathroom right now, like in just like a tiny bouquet. So many buds, and obviously I should try to make deeper cuts, but I just can't give up all these buds. So I've been getting like little stems. Look at this one here, it's a yellow one. And again, they open like this. They have such a long vase life. I did test one, it lasted me like 2 weeks or something. It was crazy. It might have been even longer, like almost a month. Okay, so you see the potatoes on the left there, Lisianthus on the right. Beyond the Lisianthus, I do have Canterbury bells. I'm guessing they're not going to bloom till next year. I don't know, maybe this fall they'll surprise me and grow stalks, but. And there's some volunteer tomatoes that I'm apparently just letting go. Then we have the straw flower. There's two varieties. There's rose and then apricot, I think. Either apricot or peach. And beyond that, some scabiosa. I do want to show you this bed here. So this has my mostly onions in it. And I'm actually quite proud of it. I know it looks a mess right now. I was better at weeding it earlier in the season, and I think that was when it was most important. I do have some volunteer plants in here that I'm going to leave, but then I will probably weed stuff out. But it's actually, some of them are ready to be harvested. So let me show you. First of all, this is feverfew, and it's just so cute. All right. Hello, feverfew. There's a different variety of feverfew back there. I am grateful for those because, as you saw, my other ones that I planted are not looking so hot. Okay, but in here we have the red onions, and I planted these in clumps. And look at this. Like these ones here, I think are pretty much ready to harvest. I can just start pulling them out when I want. I think there was an easier to see. You can see the necks are kind of lying, some of the necks are starting to lie down, which means that it's time to harvest them. So onions in this whole thing are looking great. I mean, some look better than others. I don't love that I have grass in here. Let me get you a view. There should be, the white ones should be in here, or the yellow rather. These are the single planted ones. So you can see my single planted ones, I don't know if it's the weeds or what, just aren't quite as big as the other ones. Maybe it's the variety. There's a tomato plant in here. And some violets. You can see the pops of purple. This is definitely that needs to come out, but I'm just so excited about my onions, guys. If you could see them in there. Okay, so you get the idea. It's weedy, but there's volunteers and there's some good onions in there. This is my scabiosa. It really flops, but I love it so much. I actually need to come out and deadhead it so it'll bloom more. A lot of these, you can see, are spent. Oop. This one here is a spent one, but it'll keep blooming. It'll just, I think, bloom better if I keep deadheading it. And I've got my Scabiosa stellata, or starflower here, and these are the dried seed pods, and they're beautiful. This is what the flower looks like as the flower. So both are beautiful. I generally like to use the seed pods because they're really unique. And I got several varieties in here, and they're all kind of tangled together. And then along the other side here, my violets always look so happy and beautiful, and I love them. Especially on this side over here, they look really great. All right, beyond those are some carrots. I've got some nasturtiums growing along the edge. Ooh, look at this one. This is a pretty deep red. Gorgeous. All right, so my carrots look okay in here. I mean, they're growing. I haven't actually harvested any yet because last time I checked they were too small, but I think soon I might start pulling some up. We'll see what we got. And there's several varieties in there, but I can't tell you which is which at this point. This giant leafed thing here, these giant leaves are from rutabaga, and there's some beets under here as well. So it looks like some of those will be ready to harvest soon as well. I didn't thin these, so I should probably come in and just like take the ones out from the middle so that I can get some bigger ones. All right, and beyond that, there was a huge patch of bachelor's buttons here, but they had actually shaded out some of my garlic that I harvested in a recent video. I'll post that here. So I cut them back pretty hard. I actually trimmed them back. So these are new flowers, and then I took some of the plants out as well. So they're a little bit more under control. And then where the garlic was, I planted some more ground cherries. I just had them sitting out. I was gonna put them somewhere else. And they didn't make it in the ground, so when this opened up, it seemed like a perfect opportunity. I also had some pepper and eggplant plants that didn't have a home. So those all live in here now, and they seem to be doing well. So I'm excited about that. This side here is kind of just weeds, but I did want to come back and show you. I just do want to show you here. There's a volunteer sunflower again. Again, most of them are volunteer, and that's gorgeous. I did just last week put in some mahogany splendor hibiscus and some jazzy zinnias over here. So we'll see what they do. They don't, there was nothing there. It was just weeds. So it's better than nothing either way. So again, this corner is a mess. There's actually a snake, a garden snake, or garter snake. It's not going to hurt me or anyone, but I do have a bit of a fear of snakes, but they're really good for the garden. So I just left this area back here. We'll see what we can do with it later. Can you guys see the goldfinch? It's That pop of yellow up on top of there it goes. I love the birds I have in my garden, and I might would you be interested in a video on the birds I see in my garden? I'm not a bird expert or anything. I just like to watch them. So, and I like to identify them when I can. So anyway, let me know in the comments below if you would like to see something like that. Okay, so these are my tomatoes back here, and in front of them I did plant cosmos and some teddy bear sunflowers. This giant sunflower is a volunteer. It was the first to bloom. I did harvest some off of it. I just leave it. You can see the birds have been eating the seeds. Let's come up here. See, these are from birds snacking. Oh, and there's a little bee. Hello, welcome. So anyway, I like sharing with my bird and pollinator friends. Okay, so over here what you're seeing is the tomatoes that I have not pruned. So there's 2 rows in here that I haven't pruned, and it's this one. We've got cherry tomatoes and slicers, and so that is pretty high on my list to come in because you can see like it's hard to see the fruit. We're dealing with some disease on several of the plants because of the wetness. So much water. So I'll be trying to take those parts off, and we just kind of roll with it. I don't spray or anything. I'm going to come around here. I'm going to come back and finish with these beds in the middle. Let me show you my tomatoes some more. Okay, this is the main reason I need to prune them. I can't even like really get in here or see what's happening. I don't know which variety is which. So you can see we do have some green fruits over here. So that's great. And there's some basil under here that you can't even, like, it's hard to harvest. This one's going to flower a little bit because I can't get in there. So again, that's at the top of my list. But I think there's some more slicing tomatoes down here. And then the rest of the rows I did prune, and these are paste tomatoes for the most part. So again, you'll see there's some unhappy looking leaves in here, and I'll try to take those off, especially on this plant here. I'm seeing a bunch. Yeah. Oh, these are not so much for paste. These are Principe Borghese, and these are really good for drying, like kind of making sun-dried tomatoes, although I'll do that in my oven. And I see some ripe ones under here. Aha! There's some turning red, so that's really exciting. Then we had some hot days and everything was growing really well, and then the last couple days it's been chilly, and actually it's dropped into the 40s at night, so I think that's slowed down ripening a little bit, so we'll see what happens. I'm still hopeful we'll get a good harvest this year. All right, I'm taking you around the corner. Ready? All right, this one needs to be tied up better. I did, again, several weeks ago, I pruned and tied them back, but yeah. We are dealing with, oh, these ones look a little rough too. Oh, that's sad. Hopefully I can, it looks like most of these branches I can just tie up. But I need to harvest some of those. Oh, goodness, okay. I have been harvesting the basil pretty heavily, so that looks really nice and bushy, especially the purple basil, because I've been really enjoying my purple basil drink that I made in my harvest video. Here, these are Amish paste, I know that, this whole row. Yeah, so I think, I haven't watered them because it's just been so wet. We're supposed to get more storms this afternoon. I think we've had yesterday didn't rain, but every other day it has. So I'm not needing to water, which is great. And we're much more fortunate than most people here. A lot of gardens are like underwater and just drowning. We're up on a ridge and we're doing pretty well, but yeah, disease happens. Disease happens, and it's just, I just harvest what I can and go with it. I don't want to spray a bunch of stuff. So that's the tomatoes. Now I want to show you what's going on in the middle here because I'm quite proud of it. So I think I showed this in my last tour as well, or maybe my harvest video as well. So you've seen the edible flower bed is the one over here. Then these 3 each have beans around the outside and different squash in the inside, and they have a row of basil close in facing the tree. And that is a quince tree. I don't think we're gonna get any fruit from it. There was blossoms and fruit, but it fell off. So I'm guessing either that cold, that really late frost got it, or the pollinators weren't able to pollinate it because of the really cold weather. But yeah, these are all growing really nicely, and I love how this looks. I also did some weeding and mulching and planting under the quince tree, so that looks much better, although as anticipated, the grass has come right back. But I can only do so much. All right, so these here, let me just show you a few things. I've got black beans growing here, actually. They've got this really pretty purple flower. You can see that? So these, just like the runner beans on the branches, on the branch structure, I'm gonna let these basically go to seed, dry up, and then I'll harvest them for black beans. Again, it probably won't be enough for us. We might get one meal. There's 6 of us, so we could do a lot of beans. I've got this calendula came back on its own, so I've been harvesting it. I'm gonna come back and harvest a bunch more. I need to make some salve. I like to use the calendula to make a skin salve, kind of like a homemade Neosporin. And then in here there's acorn squash, and I've seen some. Look at that. Acorn squash, yum, yum, yum. So that's growing beautifully. I just love how these look. They look so full and lush. It's making me happy. I did stick some kale in here. The kale is getting pretty well eaten, but yeah, it is what it is. We need to eat it more, I guess. I've got some zinnias in here. The basil here is a Thai basil. I need to put that on my meal plan. This is a good reminder to me that I wanted to try to make tom kha gai, which is a Thai chicken, like coconut milk soup, and I love it, and there's not a Thai place really close to me, so I need to try to make it myself. I used to order it all the time. And see, I thought these were all acorn squash in here, but now I'm not so sure, because that doesn't look like an acorn squash, does it? Or maybe it's like a big one? Well, we'll see. We'll see. Cool. Okay. Let's see. Oh, there's some borage on the side here that I put in as well. That's not quite flowering yet, but it's growing. It's growing, so that's good. All right. I really hope I'm not making you dizzy. I apologize. I'm getting excited seeing all the things. All right, let's go over to that bed. I have cosmos on the edge. I believe the squash in this one is Blue Hubbard on this side, and then as we move to the right, it's an Orangetti spaghetti squash, which is a new variety of spaghetti squash to me. I think spaghetti squash is the thing, the small squash that we eat the most. We like spaghetti squash. So let's see what's happening down here. I don't know if I saw any before. I mean, I see some. You kind of see some fruits developing. Hopefully they got pollinated. And the basil here is blue spice basil. I need to try to save some of it from some of these vines. But it smells so wonderful. I like using it for cut flowers because it smells so good. And I want to try making the tea with it. I haven't done that yet, so that's on my list to do as well. Let's see. Let's see if I can see any squash in here. I don't see any yet. All right, well, we'll keep our eye out for it. Now, around the outside of this bed and the bed next to it, there are jade bush beans growing. So these will be for green beans. And you can see there's just tiny baby beans starting here, which is so cute. Very similar things happening over on this bed. We've got the jade bush beans on the side. There are some chamomile that I planted in there, so you might see some chamomile flowers poking up. And the middle has just a normal spaghetti squash. They don't look quite as vigorous and healthy as the other ones. I don't know why. So anyway, but hopefully we'll get some squash somewhere in here. I see one forming in here amongst the weeds, but it's something. It's something. And this basil here, there's lemon and lime basil, which are also wonderful for cut flowers for bouquets, and would make a wonderful tea. Oh, I found a bigger one. Look at this one. Yay, spaghetti squash. Okay, so ignore the grass. It comes back with a vengeance, but this looks so much better than it did. I don't know if you remember or if I even showed you in the last couple tours. There were so many suckers along the bottom that you couldn't tell it was a tree. So I think it looks much better now. There are some parts of it that I worry about, but there's a lot of new growth, so you can kind of tell these new greener things are new growth, so that's a really good sign. Underneath I did put different basils and cosmos, and I just planted these last week and they were in their plug trays for a while, so I'm hoping maybe they'll bush out a little bit at some point, but it's better than what was there before. And I do love the look of the rocks around it. So that's the potager at the beginning of August. I'm really proud of the work we've done, especially with the baths, to be honest. But there's a lot of good food and flowers coming out of this space. And we're also sharing with our pollinator and bird friends. So really, it's wonderful. We are been so fortunate, especially I just know so many in my area have not been. And I love this garden space. I love being in it and working out here. Little by little, we'll just keep making progress. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really does help my channel out. And if you haven't subscribed and you like my content, please consider subscribing. Until next time, friends, I hope you all stay well. Happy gardening.